Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including Bojack Horseman, which we'll be getting into today. I'm Dylan Heisen, and today I am joined by Michelle Ander.
Hello.
Alex Bonilla.
Hola.
And Andy Potter.
Hey.
Yes, that's right. Bojack Horseman. This is our first Bojack podcast here at the Overly Animated Podcast. We are now officially ramping up into season 4 of Bojack Horseman, coming out in a few weeks on September 8th. We'll be covering it all. Bojack is officially added to our coverage slate, so stick with the Overly Animated Podcast for everything Bojack Horseman at overlyanimated.com. You can subscribe to our main iTunes feed at overlyanimated.com/iTunes, or our newly minted Bojack Horseman iTunes feed, if you search for that on iTunes, or go to overlyanimated.com on the right side. You should see it. If it's not there up yet, it will be soon. So yeah, we're getting into Bojack. We've got, a whole Bojack team here, plus, Sam Quattro will be joining us for the episode discussions. But today, to kick off our Bojack podcast, we will be, for some reason, because I want to, counting down our top 10 Bojack minor characters, favorite minor characters. So, I have made a consensus rankings among the 4 of us plus Sam's rankings as well. So, I've assigned basically points, to everyone's like number 1 got 10 points, all the way down to number 10 got 1 point, and we've like accumulated the points. So we have a consensus top 10. So I'll reveal our consensus top 10 rather than us going through our individual lists. So I'm trying out this new top 10 format here. I think why minor characters? I mean, I think much like, potentially Rick and Morty, the Bojack's, adult, kind of like comedy animation top tier counterpart, the minor characters are one of the most memorable parts of the show. So, I think it's like a good topic to get into, a lot of memorable ones. So we'll, go through our favorites and talk about them and their roles on the show. When the day we recorded this, I think it's gonna go out a little later, but the Bojack season 4 trailer came out. We're not getting into that here, but we'll probably have a season preview podcast potentially later. So just look for that later. But yeah, the Bojack season 4 trailer is out. You can find that, I think, on their Twitter. Let's get into this. The criteria is, that it's anyone who's not Bojack, Princess Carolyn, Diane, Mr. Peanut Butter, and Todd is eligible for this. So everything from regular recurring characters to like these minor, celebrity cameos. They're all eligible for this list, and we considered all of them, although, I'm sure people forgot certain people on the rankings, and we'll get a lot of, I forgot to rank that person. So I'm warning you, that's gonna happen. So, Michelle, what stands out to you? We can do it around the horn pre getting into the list. What stands out to you minor characters when you think of, Bojack? Not necessarily like revealing your list, but,
like what makes a good minor character?
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's do that. Yeah.
Either I'd say like points for originality, but also points if they're not original and they're making fun of like actual famous people or current tropes that exist and making it like glorious. I think like those can be very different things, but I think they're both like really, really appealing for different reasons. So those two things I would say are high on my list.
Okay, yeah, good point. We have a lot of different things from like full-fledged characters to kind of these like parodies of
sometimes just even in the name, but it's like enough.
Yeah. Some good names here too. We'll get into all this. Alex, what about you? What do you think makes the best type of Bojack character?
Well, for me, the real life celebrities usually don't resonate with me. I prefer the ones that just are really absurd, but like they let off really good funny lines, or they're over the top parodies or tropes of common Hollywood cliches. So I prioritize those when I made my list, and also I tried to avoid side characters that really only serve the purpose of as a punchline. I wanted to try ones that at least had a little bit of character, at least were beyond just funny lines, like something extra to go with it.
You wanted some depth from your side characters, yeah.
Yeah, like this show has a lot of side characters. I think more than even like Rick and Morty. So like, there is a way to cull this into ones that actually show a little bit more, I feel.
Okay. Andy, what about you? What were your criteria here?
I mean, I had pretty similar criteria. It was either the people that were just really there were some really interesting characters that had a lot of depth to them, and then there were these weird, wacky characters in this other basket. And my list kind of has a mix of both of them, but I tended towards one of the baskets over the other, and it'll come out as we talk that I preferred one of them over the other.
Yeah, there's definitely people looking at everyone's list. So I know our consensus list, and these people do not. So
No,
our
we
co-hosts here
don't.
will be surprised as we go
Ooh.
as we count down. Yeah, there's definitely people who like these celebrities more than others, and we'll talk about that. So let's get right to it. I'll do all the honorable mentions at the end, as not to spoil the contents of the list. But really, there's not a ton of overlap on our 5 lists, because the top 10, and there's only one other character where any two of us put on the top 10. It's like really, yeah, really.
Oh my god,
What?
guys! What did you put? On
Really,
your list?
not a lot of overlap. Yeah, I mean, everyone kind of had the same few at the top 5, but then once you get into like 6 to 10, it was anything. So if 2 people put it on, it basically made the list, except for one of them. So let's get into our number 10. I was very excited that this character barely made our top 10. It is Andrew Garfield is our number 10 Bojack Minor character. On the back of me and Andy. I ranked Andrew Garfield 5th. Andy ranked him 8th. Yeah. So Andy, why did Andrew Garfield make your list?
Because
You're already so excited.
he's just so weird and wacky. And when the seasons came out, it was like right after the Amazing Spider-Man, so Andrew Garfield was like really big, and so it was just more fun to be poking fun at this guy who had just gotten this big deal. And then he was also the boyfriend of Sarah Lynn for a bit, which just added to the absurdity, because for some reason he liked Sarah Lynn in like an actual like steady relationship way, and I didn't quite understand why, but it just added to the absurdity. He's just a really weird character, and he's also one of the celebrities in the show that isn't voiced by the actual celebrity in real life.
Yeah, he's voiced by Paul F. Tompkins, who's great at a lot of these type of voices. Mr. Peanut Butter's voice actor. Yeah, I think Andrew Garfield is still good on the show. He's not in a ton of episodes, but the highlights are Prickly Muffin, which is my favorite episode of the show. So that's a big reason why. But yeah, he's like breaking up with Sarah Lynn, and he does this thing. Yeah. They do this thing where he's like framing his face, and that's just like how he talks, I guess.
Yeah.
And we have this whole gag of Sarah Lynn recounting Andrew Garfield and like him being like Garfield the cat. And then probably his biggest highlight is falling down into the Halloween store in January.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I just love him opening the door and just wham, he's gone.
Yeah, and he's like All Hallows Eve in January. Like, is he would call it Halloween? It's great.
I love it.
Yeah, so I Andrew Garfield is my number 5. That's I'm annoyed that more of you didn't rank it. He's great. Like, come on.
Yeah.
That's okay. He made our top 10. And Michelle, Alex, any comments?
His British accent is top notch.
Yeah.
Yeah, good on the accent.
Okay.
He's a good time.
Yeah. Andrew Garfield's a good time, says Michelle. Yeah. Okay. Let's continue in our top 10. Number 9 is, I was surprised by this one, is Secretariat.
I didn't put that, but interesting.
The Dead Horse. Sam had Secretariat ranked 5th, and Alex had him ranked 7th. Alex, why Secretariat here?
Well, I think he works well as like a reflection of what Bojack has become, because Secretariat is portrayed in this version as a very famous guy, but he had a very like narrow-mindedness when it came to issues. Like that speech in the beginning of one of the episodes was like, I started running and it made sense. He just does what comes easy to him. But when he faces problems, his philosophy is keep running forward, never look behind you. And that's kind of what Bojack always tries to do, but it doesn't bring him true happiness. And in Secretariat's life, that ended up with him killing himself because of a big thing in his life, like getting banned for cheating or something. And so it works well as a parallel and like giving you an insight that Bojack has had this kind of thinking like ever since he was a kid, seeing his hero end up like that. It's just, and I think just the performance is very good for the short time they get to use him.
Yeah, I think this was an interesting choice. I didn't really even consider Secretariat, but I do think his function in the show is really works with advancing Bojack's character, and like we have some great flashbacks to him like on talk shows and stuff. So I really like how he's utilized by the show. Michelle, Andy.
I forgot about him too.
I forgot about him, but Alex brought up some really good points. So yeah, I agree.
I think he would have bumped my number 5 if I had remembered him.
Bumped your number 5? That's not how the list of 10 work. You don't take out the middle.
It's his list.
But he means like if he remembered he existed, he would have.
Yeah. Okay. I probably would have ranked him.
Okay, yeah.
But it's too late now.
Yeah, that's the first of our many. Oh, I forgot to rank this character. Okay. I think that's a solid choice. But definitely a different type of minor character than our Andrew Garfield to the world.
Yeah.
Number 8 on our consensus list is Herb Kazzaz. Sam had Herb 6th. Michelle had Herb 4th.
I forgot why I put him 4th. He probably should have been lower. Oh. But he deserved to make the list.
Okay, talk to me. Why do you like Herb Kazzaz?
I like him, well, honestly, like, kind of like what Alex was saying. Like, I think Herb functions great, mostly in terms of, like, Bojack's, like, development, air quotes. Because, like, oh, man, so much went down between them. It's crazy. And just, like, how Bojack treated him after he got famous. And just, like, ostracizing him out of his life when everyone found out that he was like sleeping with men, and just like, God, when he like goes to him thinking like, oh well, he's like dying now, like, guess like I can get my closure, and then Herb has like this amazing speech where he's like, fuck you, like you don't get to like walk out of me for like years and years and years and come back and think that like it can all be okay, like you did a shitty thing, you're a shitty person, like you made your life suck, I've known you for so long, I can say this about you, like you're an awful human being and I don't forgive you, like go away. It was just like, damn, that's so true though. And like, I don't know, I thought it was like a very, very satisfying moment very early on in the show. And for me, like that's why he made the list.
Michelle was here for the angst with involving Herb, I think. Yeah, I think I think he functions similar to Secretariat, like a great influence on Bojack's life. We see him in flashbacks. He's that one big episode when Bojack goes to visit him. And then we get like the flashback episode pretty early on with the beginnings of Horsing Around. Yeah. Herb definitely has a lot of depth to him, so I could see it in that regard. About like he's like a top 5 like minor character in terms of depth. But I don't know. I never found too much appealing. I don't think that's like the purpose of his character.
I don't think that his purpose is more like what he does in relation to Bojack than like him as a person. Him as a person, he was probably like a fine enough person, but that's not interesting. And we see it from Bojack's perspective, and that already says a lot of what we're not going to know about him.
Yeah.
But yeah, for how he functions, he made my list.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. Alex, Andy, anything here?
Herb functions more as a plot device in my head. He's really interesting. He has a lot of depth, but I didn't really connect with him or find him especially funny, or I didn't have any especially strong emotions towards him, so I didn't really rank him in any way.
Yeah, I considered him. If I made a full list, it probably would have ended up being top 15. But Herb Kazzaz is interesting because he is like one of the first people in the show to just like reject Bojack outright. Something that becomes a more common thing as the show goes on. But when you first reach that episode, it feels like one of the first big moments where like the show gets real, so to speak.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's why it left such a big impression on me at the time too, because it was like, oh shit, like wow. And that becomes like way more apparent with other characters as Bojack makes like worse and worse decisions. But early on in season 1, like it was still pretty surprising.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has a big impact on the show. I agree, it's a big moment when we get there in like season 1, and definitely functions well in relation to Bojack. So it's a solid choice, number 8 for us. Let's get into number 7. I think we're in the heavy hitters now. I'm unsatisfied with this ranking, but at least this character made the list. Number 7 is character actress Margo Martindale.
Oh, okay.
I had Margo Martindale ranked 3rd. Sam had her 4th, and then the rest of you schlums didn't rank character actress Margo Martindale.
Oh my god! I don't remember her. Who is this?
Yeah, she's the one who like robs the bank. Like she just is.
Oh.
Yeah, go on, Dylan. Defend your homicidal maniac.
Oh
Yeah.
my god. Okay.
I mean, she's clearly one of the standout side characters on the show. She just every time she's on screen, just first of all, just referring to her as character actress Margo Martindale is a great recurring gag. And just her role on the show is just increasingly doing Bojack's criminal work. And then she goes to jail, and then she gets out of jail. Bojack immediately picks her up, and then more criminal work. And she's driving the boat at the end. She's a constant role on the show. How do we forget here?
I have no idea.
I don't
forgot
know.
about her, but I totally did.
I didn't forget her, but I just feel like she's more. Yeah, she didn't make enough of a mark to me. It feels like they only bring her in when there needs to be a purpose. She is. They need someone criminal, so they just bring her in in lieu of just bringing other characters. But I don't know, just the homicidal is her personality. It's fine, but
yeah, and she had to lay low, so she went to a local theater, but she won an award, so she got too prominent. Yeah, it's her. She's great on the show. I think in season 1 she helps out sabotaging Todd's rock opera. There's so much here. She's in every season. She's wonderful. I'm pretty confident in her as the third best character. This is a standout. I do agree she's it's a one note gag and it's a little bit of lowbrow humor, but I think
sometimes it can work.
I think the show just really sells it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I do whenever people recognize her but they can't figure out her name.
Yeah.
It's I saw you in that show. What? Well, what's my name? Did you say for the credits?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good too. And this is, and I feel like this also isn't even original humor to Bojack. There's a lot of other parody shows do this type of thing, talking about character actors. But again, despite it not being the most intelligent of gags on the show, I feel like it's really sold in, just a constant presence, really, a really great character. So that's our number 7, a character actress, Margo Martindale. We have a tie at 5. So our first 5 is JD Salinger.
Yes.
Everyone except Michelle ranked JD Salinger.
I do not remember who this is again.
Okay, Michelle. Some of us caught up on the show more recently, others, by the way, so we can't follow Michelle. Yeah, all of us basically had him at the 5 to 7 range or something. Andy, explain who JD Salinger is in the show.
This might be actually the most absurd concept in the show. JD Salinger, the author JD Salinger comes back and he creates a game show that's the most contrived.
Oh yeah, no, I remember the game show now.
And that's a signature episode.
Yeah, no, that is a signature episode.
Yeah,
and he acts like he's doing the most important thing in the world, and he even shuts it down when he's like, "We did it, we're done." And it's what did you do? What did you do in the first place? I just love him. I don't know why they chose him in particular, but they chose him, and I love it.
Yeah, so JD Salinger, real world author of Catcher in the Rye. He's voiced by Alan Arkin in the show, and he creates the game show Hollywood Stars and Celebrities. What do they know? Do they know things? Let's find out. So the thing with JD Salinger that's hard for me in ranking him is that his character, himself in his personality, he's not that funny. He doesn't really do anything. But just the concept of the author of Catcher in the Rye functioning in this way in the show is just such a good gag that it really elevates it.
And the idea that he's been out of society for 30, 40 years, and he just jumps reality TV.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's just he's so over the top in it too. It's going for the kill. Someone get me a Red Bull. And the idea that before is just a quiet little bicycle shop owner, and so just he's very unhinged, and I love it.
Yeah, it's he's more prominent than you think. He's going to be this one episode character, and then he has a huge role in the episode, and then we just keep going with this plot, and it's just really absurd. Like any show that just has JD Salinger as a character and makes him run a reality show. Come on.
Well, you say any show, but has any other show used JD Salinger?
That's what I'm saying. That's why Bojack's so great. That's the number one reason. Yeah. So, any other JD Salinger comments here?
He's just great.
Yeah.
I just love the way he shut down the show again. That's the best part. He's decided it was over.
Yeah, he decided it served its purpose. We figured out what they knew. Yeah. Okay. Also tied for number 5, we have here Vincent Adultman.
Yes.
What? Number 5? That is. Oh man, that's
Okay,
sad.
so
You should be so much higher.
You guys, Michelle ranked Vincent Adultman.
So
Michelle ranked Vincent first.
He's the best. He's the best. Like, I know Alex probably wouldn't agree, knowing like why you ranked the ones you did, but Vincent Adultman's like the best character
Okay, we'll
ever.
get Michelle's taking a second. Michelle ranked Vincent Adultman first. Andy ranked him 6th. Alex ranked him 10th. Sam ranked him 7th, and I did not rank Vincent Adultman. I did not rank him.
Well, I'm glad everyone else had sense.
Michelle, why your number 1 character?
Because it's like the stupidest, and then he keeps coming back, and it just goes so far with this gag. Like, first, like, Princess Carolyn's just like mad that Bojack sucks, and so she like strikes up conversation with like what is very obviously like 3 kids in a trench coat, and nobody can tell this or take it seriously but Bojack, which is part of what makes it so excellent. And then she like actually ends up being in a relationship because she thinks he has life figured out and is like a real adult, and that's what she feels like she needs in her life. And then just like, oh my god, it's just so ridiculous. And then they were like having actual conversations about like real world like adult relationship problems, and it's like these kids in a trench coat. And then like when she sees like the top one on the street, she confronts him. He's like, I can explain. She's like, why didn't you tell me you had a son? And it's just like, oh my god, it just keeps going. And then like at one point he keeps like pretending to be the kid and the guy in the trench coat like at the same time, and it's just like so amazing and so stupid but so great. That's why he's number 1 on my list.
Andy, why'd you rank Vincent here?
I mean, I don't know if I can follow up on Michelle here. Like, I think she said everything. But I really do love these kind of gags where only one character can see that something's wrong and no one else can see it. I just like gags like that in general. And this one's is pulled off very well because even on its own, it's a really ridiculous idea, even if Bojack didn't even notice it. But with Bojack noticing and constantly going like, that's 3 kids in a trench coat, right?
Why
That's
is no one else seeing this? Yeah.
Like, every single time. I love it. I love him. He's great.
Alex, what about you?
Well, I think I ranked him lowest of anybody here, but like I felt impelled to put him somewhere on this list just because like he is really funny and he has a lot of lines, especially how he delivers them in his like baby voice. Right?
Yes.
I like business, but I guess I just feel like while he is really good with the jokes, like he only serves as to reflect like Princess Carolyn's idealistic view of relationships and all. But like on his own, it is pretty much a gag. It's not really a character to me. So, but he serves his purpose well, and he is fun. He is funny a couple of times in the show. But yeah, I'm not as high on him as you guys, but. He worked fine in season 2. I'm glad we don't really see much of him now.
Yeah, I didn't rank Vincent on purpose because the funniest part about this character is Bojack's reaction to him. Like Bojack being like, that's just 3 kids in a trench coat. Like that's funny every time. I think we see too much of him though.
No, that's not possible. It's not possible. We need more. He needs to come back.
I guess he could. They break up though last season, so. I don't know. I didn't find the breakup particularly compelling either. Like, it's nothing Vincent himself does is that interesting, so that's why I didn't really rank him. Also, it's 3 people, not 1, so I feel like that disqualifies for this list.
Wow.
No, it means they fill 3 spots.
Oh yeah, okay, that's 5, 6, and 7.
Oh, that's true. We just don't know the names of the other 2.
Yeah.
One of them's Kevin. That's it. That's all I know.
Oh yeah.
I don't remember that. I will say I think it makes sense with that. This is like Michelle's favorite. Like I could see that. So
sometimes like dumb jokes are just like that's all you need if it's like done well enough to be consistently funny. And for me, it really was
nice. Yeah, I think much like JD Salinger, it's just absurd how far the stupid gag goes.
Yeah. Like they probably did this like for one episode. They're like, oh my god, no. Like I think we should do more with this trench coat thing, and they did. And it was great.
Yeah. Okay. I'll buy it. I do think he deserves a place on our consensus list. There you go. Number 5. Let's get into number 4 and 3. We have a tie. So our first number 3 is Charlotte Moore. the deer, right? And
Yeah.
Correct.
Michelle, Andy, and Sam ranked Charlotte. Alex and I did not. I believe Andy has Charlotte the highest. So, Andy, what do you like about Charlotte's character?
I just think she's a really good. It's just a really good example of somebody who kind of escaped the life that Bojack is having in Hollywood, and it really shows, or Hollywoo, sorry. And I don't know, just something's really compelling about her character and how you can see how Bojack really tempts her to come back to Hollywoo, and she just doesn't want to do it. And she has this happy life, and even when she has this happy life, you can see how that she really does want to go there. She wants to see this for a little bit, and then she kisses Bojack, and she's like, "No, Bojack, this is wrong. I'm happy. I'm happy." And it seems like she's almost convincing herself sometimes. And I don't know. There's a lot of depth and complexity here, and I feel like there's more that we could have explored, but we stopped just far enough without like pulling back the curtain all the way. Like, there's more going on with Charlotte's life, but we're not going to see it because Bojack's never going to see her again. And I don't know, just those scenes in Escape from LA and the one after that I just think there's some really good character work there, including including her children and her husband. And I really like that episode a lot.
Michelle, what do you like about Charlotte?
Well, I honestly like Charlotte, mostly how she functions in terms of Bojack, which is like a recurring thing for the people who aren't just like super random on my list, who I just think are funny. And for her, like, it represents so much of like what his life could have been like if he'd given up show business, you know, like he has that like hallucination scene where he's in like the cabin and he like goes through like the whole life of like having like a family with her and that kid like growing up, and he like realizes it's all fake, and she starts to become this just like figment that like talks to him and keeps being like, why didn't you, like, you know, why weren't we a thing? Like, why didn't you come with me to Maine? And that becomes like a weird goal for him. But I don't know, like, even like when they kiss in Escape from LA, like, I got the impression Bojack, like, he always runs from his problems. He always like fucks things up and then he runs away from them. And then he like pities himself for being like awful. And like that makes it okay. And he's like kind of doing this here. He's like, oh, like you feel something too. Like, you know, we should be together. It's like, dude, like it's been 30 years. Like, she says something like, you knew me for like 5 seconds 30 years ago. And it's true. Like, they did not know each other that long. They haven't seen each other in like 30 years. Like, she has a life. Like, it's really kind of awful for him to want to take all that away from her just because he wants this right now at this second, because he's running from everything else he messed up. And like, again, like, that's why I think she's really interesting, because like she brings out all these aspects of Bojack that are really, really unpleasant, but they're there and they become very obviously when he has conflicts with her and like when things don't go well. So that's why I really liked her. I don't think we get to know a ton about her actual character. Like, she seems pretty chill, and like a good, you know, person, a good mom and stuff. But besides that, we don't honestly know a lot, and neither does he, which she also kind of brings up. So yeah.
And she also
go for it.
She also curses out Bojack, which is
and then after that, the boats, man, that episode went to so many places. But like when she catches him with her daughter and just like telling him like he has to leave then or she's gonna fucking kill him, it just like, damn, like that's so intense.
It was
like,
a really good
feel for her. Yeah,
I really felt like she was gonna kill Bojack and he could knock it off that property like that second.
Yeah.
Alex, what's your take here?
She was definitely a strong character. I felt really bad leaving her off, but but yeah, definitely. Because we only see her in like two episodes, and like she was strong in the 2 episodes she gave, but I couldn't find room for her. But she's definitely like, especially the boat scene, like in particular, that's like the peak of her character right there, and she was a joy for the short time we got to know her. We might get to see her in flashbacks, maybe, as we keep delving into Bojack's past. But yeah,
I also didn't rank her. I was always disappointed we didn't actually get to know her, like her personality or as a character at all. I think like she's only seen in relation to Bojack as like that
Yeah,
lost,
sure.
that like lost love, like that, like like not even the lost love, but like the potential, like the person you
The
saw
lost
in
life.
the person you
Yeah.
saw in the past who you like thought like, what if I was with them? And it's like very intentional the way her character is handled in the show. Like we don't know who she is because Bojack doesn't know who she is. So it all is intentional. I think her function on the show is great, and she's a strong presence. But like as a character itself, definitely wouldn't.
Yeah, we don't really know anything about her as a
Yeah.
character.
So like that's my logic for. I didn't even really consider her in the top 10.
But I think that's okay in a show like this because this show is about Bojack. It's hard
Yeah,
to find a character that's
exactly.
completely separated from his influence, and so that affected some of my choices because it's hard to find someone completely separate like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree.
Yeah,
I'd agree. I think
agree.
our strongest ones as we get into the top three are going to be people who function independently. So, but Charlotte, I think definitely would be top 5 most notable side character in the show. But I don't know if that preamble for this character who makes number 3 in our list is justified. But here we are. Are we ready? It's Sextina Aquafina is our number 3.
Yeah!
Yes.
Nice,
Yay.
Sextina.
I ranked Sextina 4th. Michelle ranked Sextina 3rd. Andy ranked her 4th. Alex and Sam did not rank her. Okay.
Oh, missed opportunity.
Michelle, why do you like Sextina Aquafina, the like 14-year-old pop sensation?
Sensation. Yeah. She's just amazing. She's so ridiculous. And just like I just can't divorce her from like the amazingness of Brap Brap Pew Pew. That's like hands down one of my favorite episodes. And I thought it was like so amazing. And she's just I mean, she's so ridiculous, but like at the end of the day, like she's not like a bad person. She's just like hilarious.
Yeah, her and Brat Brat Pew Pew is incredible. Just the music video for
Oh my god,
for
it was,
her
like,
fetus
the
killing
most
song.
amazing joy.
It's so good. That alone.
It was so good. I can't believe the show went there, but I was like so happy they did.
Michelle's so happy for the fetus killing. Yeah, it was so good. So good at that.
It's so funny. Like, oh my god, even the lyrics are just like, oh my god, how did they do this? But it's so good.
Yeah, her in that episode, she's just incredible, like all around, and she's also great in Prickly Muffin, talking about Sarah Lynn. Her first song, "My Clitoris Is Ginormous," I think is played throughout the show.
So good, right? She's just an amazing character. She's just so much fun.
Yeah, just a great function of parodying like Hollywood and fame in general. I think she's one of the most successful aspects of that. What about you, Andy?
So Bra Bra Pew Pew, the music video, is actually the very first thing I saw from BoJack Horseman. Like,
kidding me?
Wow.
Oh my god.
no
Such
context.
weird expectations for the show.
No context. That's what I saw. Just the music video, and for some reason that led me to watching the show. But I did. But anyway, that music video is one of the most amazing things I've ever watched in my life, and just Sextina's attitude towards this whole abortion thing is just incredible. Just the idea that she's gonna keep the baby, and it's just like you weren't pregnant though. It was just I just love it.
Hot take: the music video might be the best moment of the show. There's a lot of great moments. There's some.
I would actually be fine with that.
I think it's the best comedic moment. I have an argument for a different
There's like the end of the Trippy Drug episode that's incredible. There's the that's the end of That's Too Much Man, but also there's the fetus killing video.
If anything, I think that it's like the Rick and Mortyest of the show, like just
I
over
agree,
the
I
top
agree with that.
absurd
Yeah,
imagery.
It is Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty wouldn't go there though. So
it wouldn't.
Yeah.
That's what's
It's
insane
so
about
good, great that this show did. It's just like, oh my god.
Alex, why do you hate Sextina?
Well, once again, she was in the running. But I only remembered her for Brat Brat Pew Pew. Like, I know she had season 1 appearances, I feel, but like none of those really stood out. And like here in her episode, like it felt like the plot was more around like Diane and Caroline handling her than what like her standing out or being anything beyond a superficial pop star. But she is funny. Her voice is funny. I think the best name in the entire show is Sextina Aquafina.
Real.
Yeah.
It's both a parody of Christina Aguilera and a water brand. But yeah, she's cool. I have no problem with her.
Yeah, I think she really is only in Prickly Muffin and Brat Brat Pew. She might appear like once or twice in another episode. But yeah.
Yeah, she appeared in another episode
Yeah, she
to
appears in a
ask
couple
Deanne to be her
episodes.
ghost social media writer. That's it, I think.
Okay. Yeah. It's just basically just on the back of Brat Brat Pew. She's our number 3 here. Okay. Runaway number 2 and 1, by far. So who is 2? Who is 1? I feel like it's obvious I don't, people might not remember one of them, but, so here's our number,
Wow.
here's our number 2. It is Kelsey Jennings.
Ah.
I didn't even.
Michelle did
put
not
them.
rank Kelsey Jennings.
What?
How could you not rank her?
I don't remember. I watched these when they came out. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
Michelle, yeah.
She's the director. She's the director.
Oh
of...
yeah. I don't really.
She's the director
yeah.
of Women Who Love Recycling, and also Bojack's the original director of
I remember what she looks like.
and
I
she's
forgot her name.
in the famous silent, like the mostly silent episode Underwater. Yeah. So yeah, I had her ranked second. Andy ranked her second. Alex ranked her first. Sam ranked her first. Michelle did not rank her. If Michelle basically ranked her in the top 3, she would have been number 1. But no. So
that makes it hurt even more.
Oh, okay.
Alex, you're Kelsey's number 1 fan. Tell us why.
Well, I think Sam is
Sam
Kelsey's
probably
number
is,
1
yeah.
fan, but I'm on the fan club. I think she shows the most depth of any character here because, like, she's very rough, superficially speaking, but she shows that she does have some soft side. Like, she cares about her daughter in some episodes, and even grows to care somewhat about Bojack, and trying to like convince him that like she sees that there is some ability in him and some good in him, and even though she gets betrayed by Bojack, she's sort of willing to go back because she has this feeling. And it's like a nice, in this entire show full of people who reject Bojack outright, or it's nice to see like at least a little positive relationship in Bojack's life, to see that things could get better if he made the right decisions. But obviously he ends up ruining his relationship with Kelsey over and over again too. But I like the chemistry that they showed us in season 2, like getting to know each other and eventually trusting each other up to that that moment where they go into the Nitsin library and all, and Kelsey gets him to cry. That was a very emotional episode to me, one that really stood out. And yeah, it feels almost like a parental relationship, something that Bojack probably really needs, especially compared to the real parents he actually had. So yeah, I really love Kelsey. I also love her quirks. So just like she always loves Todd's face for some reason.
Yeah, Todd's face.
even when Todd isn't around, he's like, "Oh, what's up with that little scamp? Where is he?" So she also has her funny moments too. So I think she's a well-rounded character, and my favorite of the show.
Yeah, she's a really good character, and that snuck up on me, like just how good of a character she gets. I think she's easily has the second most depth of all these side characters, but could argue number 1. But yeah, I also just love how she's like the token lesbian on the show, and she's just has so much depth. It's like the start of how progressive the show gets, which I love too. Yeah, I think I think maybe her best episode is the one with the Women Who Love Recycling, talking about her past, and we see her daughter, and that's in the whole chickens episode. And we just see her function as a director, and she's her past as an indie director, and how that influences how she's working on Secretariat. And then I think the thing that puts her over the top is also she is like the special relationship with Bojack, and that's developed and that's like shown the result of in like maybe the show's best episode, one of them, in season 3, with him the structure of the whole Underwater episode is him needing to reconnect with her. And the reason I think that that episode is so successful, one of the reasons, despite being somewhat under narratively developed, is just because we feel like the emotional impact of Bojack's feelings towards her and desire to reconnect with her, and that shows through just because of how strong she is and how well she was developed on the show. So yeah, I think she's by far my number 2, and just really, really great function on the show. Andy, what do you think?
I you guys said a lot of great stuff, and I don't think should just repeat it. And I just think I want to say that there's a reason she's 2 on my list, and I won't say who my number 1 is because I think they won the top spot here. But that's just, I don't know the list. But the reason that Kelsey is my number 2 and not my number 1 is that her role is she has this really deep character, and she has this really interesting relation with Bojack, but I don't think they mix together that well sometimes. They're really good at showing her deep character and then really good at showing her relationship with Bojack, but they don't always intersect as well as my number 1. And I think that's really the only difference, and it's a really minor difference. Like, she's still amazing. I still really love her, and I really like all of her scenes, and she has one of the funniest lines in the show about podcasting. I forget the exact line.
Yeah.
But
someone.
Like, keep your pity to yourself. Like you should record that and put it in a podcast so
I don't listen to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that I immediately posted that in our group. Yeah.
I really love that line. Yeah, but in general, it's a really slight difference, but I think it is noticeable when you compare it to my number 1, which I think we're about to talk about.
Yeah, we're picking
I think we all know who
analogy.
it is.
Yeah. I also want to point out she's incredibly voiced by Maria Bamford. I think it's probably the best thing I've seen or heard Maria Bamford in. And Michelle, defend yourself here. Why didn't you rank her?
I guess I thought she was too important to be a minor character.
Yeah, that's true. Her and the number 1 are,
because she's just on so much. Like, we see so much more of her than most of these other side characters. I kind of felt that way about someone else who we might talk about. But I think that's probably. Yeah, I was thinking of people who wouldn't ever be brought up in any other context for my list too, like Vincent Adultman. So that was like my main motivation for my list. But clearly she's an amazing character, and she has some of the best episodes with Bojack on the show.
Yeah, I also another last thing. I think she really anchors season 2 down. I think season 2, at least in my experience, was pretty inconsistent compared to some of the stronger points on the show. And I think without the strength of Kelsey, that season goes out to water a little bit. But she's so strong there that that season's also great. So I hope we don't. She's like not gone from the show now. I don't know. I don't think the trailer showed anything with her. So I'm a little worried.
But it only really showed the main characters anyway.
Yeah, so. We'll see.
Especially if we're losing someone else, then we need Kelsey. We need more Kelsey. So let's talk about our number 1. It's Sarah Lynn. I'm ecstatic here. Sarah Lynn's my number 1. Andy's number 1. Michelle's number 2. Alex's number 2. Sam's number 3. The only character we all ranked.
Amazing.
That is amazing.
It's Sarah Lynn. I have a lot to say about Sarah Lynn, but Andy, you also put her at number 1, so you go first here.
Sarah Lynn is the most tragic character on this show somehow, even though Bojack is in it. And that's just because she is the direct recipient of everything Bojack does. Whenever Bojack does something wrong, somehow Sarah Lynn is right there. And it directly results in her untimely demise in that planetarium. And it's just the most heart-wrenching scene I've ever seen. And just I don't know how to express the way I feel when I say I wanted to be an architect, or I want to be an architect. It's just this forlorn longing for something that she had the chance to get, but for all this, the way that Bojack showed her Hollywood worked, she never got the chance to do it. She could have easily gone to school, done all these things after she finished her time as a child star, but the way that Bojack showed her being a star was like, she just went off into all this horrible drugs and all these horrible habits that just led to this. And it's just, I don't know. She's so tragic, and I really wish she wasn't dead, but I understand why they had to do it. And I'm like, I don't know if it can show, but I mean, I'm getting emotional just thinking about her, and I really, really, really love her.
Yeah, I'm incredibly attached to Sarah Lynn. But I think she's by far the best element of the show. I think she's the best character on the show, not just the best minor character. Here's a hot take: she's my favorite Kristen Shaw character ever. Even better than Mabel.
No, I agree with that.
That's crazy. Yeah. I've seen Kristen Shaw everything, and this is her best role. I think she's just a perfect character. I went back and rewatched Prickly Muffin, her intro, after I watched finished the show and watched That's Too Much Man, and just watching those 2 episodes, they're literally mirror images, and they're meant to be it's exactly meant to be her character arc. I mean, I'm like devastated at what they did with her, and I will never forgive Bojack, and I'm incredibly mad at him. But it's like, this is what her arc is. That's the point of her character. In Prickly Muffin, she literally says, "I'm going to stay with people who enable me until I die tragically young." And there you go, and that's too much, man.
Yeah.
That's she's every time she appears in the show, and like the added layer of her being in the backstory episode, like with horsing around, seeing her younger, and seeing,
oh my god,
yeah, just that's the added emotional depth, seeing her various flashbacks to her relationship with Bojack over the years, and her reconnecting with Bojack in Prickly Muffin, and their Bender in That's Too Much, Man. I mean, I just, every time she's on the screen, I think the show is elevated to another level. I mean, like literally every single time, I think the show is like significantly better when she's on. So I can imagine that was probably a difficult decision. Do we pull the trigger on this That's Too Much, Man episode now in season 3, when, I mean, clearly that's going to be the end of her arc and it needs to happen at some point, or do we hold it off because she's just such a strong presence on the show? I really hope we continue to work her into not just Horse and her own flashbacks, but also like flashbacks to just other times of adult version of her. Although I'm not sure that there's much there in the timeline, honestly.
I think we could get more drug scenes where he sees her. Like, that's a possibility, because they seem to have a drug scene every single season at this point.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll work something in, but yeah, no, I just yeah, it's an incredible, just such a character that builds an emotional attachment to the audience and functions so well at the show, functions so well with Bojack. I think it's really she just embodies everything that Bojack Horseman is. Yeah, potentially even better than Bojack in some aspects, and just really shines through everything. Alex, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I'm not going to be as enthusiastic as you guys were able to be about her, but she is definitely amazing in this show. That's Too Much, Man. Maybe because of the build-up, but I think that's the best episode of the show. Like even in season 3, like Fish Out of Water was submitted for Emmy consideration, but I think honestly, like, this works better even as just a standalone. But yeah, it definitely just shows how destructive Bojack can be at his worst to lead to that point. And I guess it's interesting to note that they pull the trigger here, and we also have a plot thread coming in the upcoming season about another younger person entering Bojack's life potentially. Yeah. So you wonder if this is going to have an effect on how he treats a new relationship this time around. But yeah, definitely rest in peace, Sarah Lynn.
That's the takeaway. Yeah, Michelle, what are your thoughts here?
Well, everyone made very good points. It's hard to I mean, I don't know. I think one thing that always really struck me about Sarah Lynn is like, just because she's so obviously like a commentary on other, like, you know, child stars who were very, very well received in like the 90s and the 80s. Like probably the most direct parallel is, you know, to the Olsen twins in Full House. Like her one-liners are like pretty much verbatim what Michelle's were on Full House as a show. But just like, I don't know, it's so, yeah, I mean, I guess tragic really is the best word to describe her situation, because like she wanted to be an architect. Her mom was like, no. She wanted to be an architect when she was like 3. Her mom was like, no, why don't you want to be an actress? She kind of gets forced into acting. She looks up to Bojack as like a father figure. Bojack like is very neglectful and not awesome as a person. They drift out of each other's lives. She becomes like a very famous like pop idol singer, does well in her late teens and 20s, and then like she hits 30 and it's like her entire career is just over. Like no one wants anything to do with her. She's like outlived her prime. Like what is she good for now? And she makes that point when Bojack visits her, when he wants her to be on his show. Just like, it's so great to see like a friendly face, like, you know, like I just get the feeling like everybody just like wants something out of me, like that's all I am to anyone. And then she's like gets that from him, and it's like, oh, like that's great. Well, okay, I'll check out the script maybe when I have time. And it's just like so sad. And then like he is like such an enabler of her, like in terms of like her drug abuse. It's just so like there's so many levels of sadness here, and it never really stops. It just gets worse and worse until she dies. And it's just heartbreaking, you know?
And the thing is, you mentioned that like it seems like she's done with her career, but like she goes through this period of sobriety, right? And like during their drug trip, she finds out she won an Oscar for writing a song, and like that means that she was busy in that time. She was able to get back on track with a different career, songwriting. So like there was always the potential for her to like get back on track, have a happy life. And she was doing that until Bojack came along.
That's true. That's the thing.
So,
like Bojack just kept coming back.
Yeah, so that makes it even more tragic. Just the idea that like she had all these options ahead of her, whether she wanted to keep being in the music business, she wanted to go back to being an architect, because it's not like she forgot that stuff either. Like they have a joke where they run through the kids' playground, and she like comments on like the joists or something like that. So like she still has the technical knowledge. It's just like all these random lines that she gives out, and you think they're funny, but they give you a light into really like how much there was deep down in her that the drugs kind of suppressed.
Yeah. The episode really emphasizes how fine she was going to be until Bojack came back, and not good. This show, I always heard that this show was, because I caught up recently on Bojack, I always heard that this is like a show about a terrible person and how relatable that is.
We told you.
And to be honest, I wasn't even, I was watching, and I'm like, okay, Bojack's doing a few shitty things, but I don't know, I'm not buying him as like this awful person. Like, generally he never did anything that bad. I mean, like, obviously end of season 2 is his worst thing until the end of season 3, but like, generally he kind of wants to help people out and stuff. And, but then the end of season 3, and now I hate him. So, that's it was necessary because that's the only thing that really sold me on like how tragic Bojack is. So,
but
yeah.
Okay, I guess we shouldn't get into a discussion about Bojack here. This is about the minor characters.
Yeah, that's fine. A later discussion. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we need to talk. Okay, so yeah, obviously, yeah, Sarah Lynn definitely were our number one here. I think this is like clear. Yes.
And she is really funny. We didn't really talk about it, but she has some really funny lines through the season. Like the Prickly Muffin episode, that whole song and music video is also really funny and would be really fun, a lot funnier if Brop Brop Pew Pew didn't exist already or didn't exist afterwards. But she is a funny character. It's just that's not what I think about when I think about her anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah. There's a lot of aspects to her. There you go. There's our top 10. Sarah Lynn at number 1. I'm sure we'll get into Sarah Lynn more on future Bojack podcasts. Honorable mentions. Basically, there's a ton of other characters on our list. I've linked it in our chat, guys, if you want to look at it. But the only other character multiple of us ranked was Tom Jumbo Grumbo, who Alex and I had on our lists.
Keith Olbermann.
Keith Olbermann, MSNBC news anchor, who I think is great. He also, I think, speaking of Brat Brat Pew Pew, he is like one of the best lines of the show too. And talking about the music video, but has the concept of women having choices gone too far? We've assembled 3 white men.
That's one episode so good. Oh my god, they just like tackled the subject.
Yeah. So he's
so firmly.
So he's that one. He was. I think he should have been there. We also other people ranked by one of us, but not any of us. Lenny Turtle, Wanda, Vanessa Gecko, Pinky Penguin. I was disappointed Naomi Watts did not make anyone else's list. I think she's the other standout celebrity of this. Sebastian St. Clair, Daniel Radcliffe, Orion Seacrest type. Come on, guys. Where's the Orion Seacrest type love?
You had all the love.
Rutabaga Rabinowitz, Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, I don't even know.
He only made my list because his name's so amazingly dumb. He's an actual tarantula.
Yeah. So there you go. Among other things. So there's our list. What are our comments? Are we happy with our consensus top 10?
I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, I feel content.
I could leave Andrew Garfield off.
Oh, come on. Get out of here.
Well, he's almost off. He's at number 10.
Exactly. He's easiest to kick off.
Yeah, he's on the corner.
You don't get to push him down the Halloween store in January as well. He's already there.
Oh.
Yeah, I think
I'm surprised Wanda didn't make it onto as many of our lists. I feel like she's a big part of season 2, but like it seems she didn't really stand out to any of us.
She is. I think there's a surprising amount of characters I think that just are kind of there but don't really do anything for me. Wanda, Vanessa Gecko, Sebastian St. Clair. I mean, they're all like good characters to a certain extent. Rutabaga Rabinowitz, I would want to love that character, but he just never does anything. I don't know.
I like him in relation to Princess Carolyn and when she takes the business away. Like, that was, like, good for her, but, like, he functioned for her development, and that's why he was on mine.
Yeah, he was kind of okay, and then he turned shitty. So,
yeah, exactly.
I think Pinky Penguin would have been a strong choice too.
Yeah, he made my list.
I could have ranked him. So there you go. There's our consensus top 10. What are your top 10 BoJack minor characters? Tell us in the comments. Tell us what you're looking forward to in season 4. Hopefully we're going to ramp up for that on September 8th. We will get into all of that at overlyanimated.com. That's where you can find us. Subscribe to BoJack feed there, or our main feed. Consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thank you very much to all of our patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Lucas, aka Rocco, and thanks as always to our patron executive producers, John, Ryan, Steve, Alex, and Andy. Okay. Anyway, thanks guys for listening. We will see you next time. Bye.
Adios.
Bye.